What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Carolina Barbecue Festival's 5th anniversary is almost here. Get your tickets today for the Queen City's biggest barbecue party, April 17th and 18th, Victoria Yards in Uptown Charlotte. 30 pit masters are celebrating Carolina barbecue traditions, supporting Operation Barbecue Relief, and serving you the very best barbecue. The fun starts Friday night with the kickoff and a salute to all things Charlotte barbecue. Then we all get together for Barbecue Saturday and tasting plates from 25 pitmaster stations. Tickets are going fast, especially VIP early entry. Get yours today, CarolinaBBQFest.org. Then join us April 17th and 18th for the Carolina Barbecue Festival. One of the new additions to the Carolina Barbecue Festival is Anthony DiBernardo. He's the owner and Smokeman for Swig and Swine Barbecue with locations across the Charleston area. He's also one of the founders of the Holy Smokes Festival that happens in the fall every year in Charleston's Riverfront Park. And we're excited to welcome him to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. Anthony, thanks so much for joining us.
Man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, so for folks out there in the audience who maybe don't know you or aren't familiar, take a quick just second to introduce yourself if you don't mind.
Yeah, my name is Anthony, obviously. Owner and Smokeman at Swig and Swine Barbecue with 5 locations in the Charleston area and one of our newest locations in the Myrtle Beach area as well.
Excellent. So one more piece of introduction that we've added to our 5th season here of the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. Anthony, I know a little bit about your background, kind of coming from the Northeast. You've been in the Low Country a long time now. I want you to close your eyes and imagine the perfect barbecue meal. What is it?
Man, the perfect barbecue meal is a meal that somebody else cooks for me. Yeah. That about goes for every perfect meal these days. It's that meal that somebody else cooks. Not that I'll ever get tired of cooking, but at soon to be 54, I've done my fair share.
So regardless of what's on the menu, if somebody's fixed it for you, you're good to go.
I'm good to go.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Swig and Swine. What is it and how'd you get started and what's it kind of turned into apart from those, you say 6 locations in South Carolina?
Yeah, Swig and Swine is honestly the culmination of the great American dream. I started in kitchens when I was 12 years old. I don't know if anybody's a football fan, but Ron Jaworski, the old quarterback from the Philadelphia Eagles,
sure,
had a country club not too far from where I grew up in South Jersey, and I got my start scrubbing pots in their banquet kitchen. Mm-hmm. So that kind of lit my fire per se, and I worked my way up through his establishment there, from the banquet kitchen to the hotline, and in the beginning of my senior year of high school. I did 2 things. I joined the Navy. I did the delayed enlistment program. So I joined early. So as soon as I finished my senior year, I would depart for boot camp. And I wrote the caption that would go underneath of my senior picture in my yearbook. And that caption read that I would do 4 years in the military and I would open my own restaurant. So that was 1989. I did my 4 years, and then it took me till 2014, but I did it, and I opened the first Swig and Swine in 2014. So literally the great American dream come true.
Now, I saw somewhere in another piece of media, did you really sleep on a cot there with the smoker in those early days back in 2014?
For the first 6 months, or probably a few weeks longer than 6 months, before I hired my first overnight guy.
Wow.
Yep.
That's some real commitment. Why'd you feel like you had to shoulder that burden yourself?
We were just getting started, and everything I had was riding on that location. Everything I had, it was a gamble. I mean, I gave up a paycheck. I went broke. It took us 8 months worth of construction.
Mm.
I hustled on the weekends doing whatever caterings I could do to try to make ends meet. Everything I had was in the building. I had maxed out every credit card. I mean, it was do or die. So I wasn't about to leave my future and my family's future in somebody else's hands.
Once you start to kind of build some momentum and see some success, hire that additional person on and grow, build some growth into it. Did you always think you would grow to multiple locations, or was there a point when you recognized,
Never.
hey, what we're doing in West Ashley is good? Is it time to go elsewhere?
Yeah, if you would have asked me in 2014 if I would have seen multiple locations, I would have said no because it was never in the cards. It was
Mm.
never, that. Like I said, I opened that first one and that was it. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's all I had my goals set for. So I had to kind of pivot and set a whole new set of goals. And you know, when we opened the second one, so the second one came about because we noticed that the traffic in Charleston was getting worse, and
Mm-hmm.
it was Charleston itself was getting more congested.
Yeah.
A lot of our traffic coming to our original location in Charleston, or West Ashley as they call it, a lot of that traffic was coming from other bedroom communities in and around Charleston. They were coming during the day while they were in town for lunch or while they were working. And so we noticed that a lot of them weren't coming in at nighttime because once they got, they had to fight traffic to get to Charleston, then they had to fight traffic to get home. They certainly weren't turning around and bringing their family back. So that's why our second location landed in Somerville, where it did. That was a pretty pretty big pocket neighborhood for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we, through our research, our demographics showed that a lot of our customers were coming from that area. So that was our second location, and to this day, it is our number one producing location. It's year over year top sales. So that was the best move that we ever did. Um, and so then that's kind of where things took a turn for me. Uh, when we opened that second location, we went around the room and got to know all of the people that we had hired on for that location.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked away from that with a whole new sense of pressure, I guess you would say. When I opened number one, it was all about me. It was all about my family and making sure that I survived and the restaurant survived and I could pay bills. And as we went around that room, I noticed that a lot of those young uh, people had families of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the weight on my shoulders grew because I had to keep that business going for them to
Mm-hmm.
help them provide for their families.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of took on a whole new role, and it something that I wasn't planning on feeling. I guess it turned. It wasn't about me anymore. It was
Mm-hmm.
about my team and making sure that they had a place that they could make a living for their family, and to build a culture that they enjoyed working in. And I think that's the key to our success. We identified that early on in our growth, and that's what we try to stick to today. Our culture. I've always wanted to provide an environment, and I've always wanted to provide things for our team that I was never provided coming up in the restaurant business. The restaurant business is hard. It's and it was a lot harder years ago. The hours and you know, just the culture, just it was bad, you know. And we wanted to change that, and I think we were successful in that, and I think that's why we have the team we do today.
When you look across all those locations, do you feel like there's a uniform experience, or does each place have its own unique gifts, I guess?
Every place has its unique identity.
Mm.
From a menu standpoint, every location does their own smoking. So we have smokers in every location. We have pit guys in every location. So every location is doing their own smoking, and that
Mm.
was we can get to that. That was another part of the growth and and trying to nail down the consistency that took us for a wild ride. But um, Somerville is the customer base is very loyal, and they'll be in 3 4 times a week. And my management team and my serving team up there are just, is very family oriented and
Hmm.
first name basis. Our Charleston location is the same. We have a great core of regulars, and I have some servers. We call them the Golden Girls, but they've been with me since day one.
Uh-huh.
So going on 12 years now. Some of them actually go back to. I have one server who works with us now. Her and I started working together in 2001. Um, so just throughout the years, she's followed me and come with me to wherever I was. And
Mm.
um, but the Charleston store sees more tourists. So,
Mhm.
we have more of a revolving tourism door through the Charleston
Yeah.
store. Our Monk's Corner location is the same demographics as Somerville. It's only been open 2 years. So that one's starting to take the shape of the Somerville store. Then our Mount Pleasant location is in the in the parking lot of a travel baseball facility that if you take time to Google, is called Shipyard Park, and it is the premier travel baseball facility on the East Coast.
Wow.
That thing is huge. We have 5 fields. Um, any given weekend, we have tournaments from 30 to 50 teams. So from Friday through Sunday, that's it takes on like a Charleston image almost. You have all these people coming in from all over the country to play baseball, and they're coming through our doors. And then Monday through Thursday, we have our core group of regulars there. So, and then Myrtle Beach is Myrtle Beach. I mean, if you would have asked me if I was going to open a restaurant in Myrtle Beach, I would have told you were crazy. But the opportunity presented itself, and we jumped all over it. And Myrtle Beach is doing great. It took a good year and a half to get up out of the hole, um, but we're there now. We're actually, if you look at TripAdvisor at all, we're very proud of TripAdvisor. We're the number one restaurant in Myrtle Beach on TripAdvisor out of 800 plus restaurants. We are number seven restaurant in Charleston, which to me is mind boggling because Charleston
Yeah.
is just a great restaurant city. We're number one in Mount Pleasant. We're number one in Somerville, and we're number one in Monk's Corner on TripAdvisor. So, but that TripAdvisor ranking in Myrtle Beach really, we really stand by that. We're proud of that. I'd like to think that we bring a consistent dining experience to a location that's been known for just, I hate to say tourist traps, but there's some a lot of chains and a lot of touristy restaurants up there, and
Hmm.
I like to think that we bring a breath of fresh air up that way, and we're doing pretty well up there. We're only about 3 blocks from the beach. If you ever gone to the Country Music Festival in Myrtle Beach, we are exactly 3.5 blocks from the main gate of the Country Music Festival.
A beach town, a lot of tourist traffic, like you say, all those chain restaurants, a little bit different environment in each of the places, some similarities. How do you maintain consistency across all those locations?
I have a great team, man. There's no hiding the fact that it's not me. It's I have a great team. I have a VP who's been with me for a little over 8 years now. He started as a general manager. He moved to a director of operations, and in 2019, I promoted him to a VP when I knew we were going to do some serious expanding. My director of operations is a young lady by the name of Callie, and Callie started with me as a server when we opened the Somerville store. So she's been with me for 10 years now.
Mm.
Started with me as a server at the Somerville store. When we opened the Mount Pleasant store, which is number three, she volunteered to come and train the servers for me. And she ended up staying there and was promoted to an assistant manager and then general manager. And as of 2 years ago, she became a director of operations. So um, all of my all of my managers have come from within. All of my chefs have come from within. We're real big on promoting from within and growing the brand um, locally.
We've talked a little bit about the business piece of it. Don't let me miss the barbecue piece. What
Yeah.
would Swig and Swine be known for from a barbecue standpoint?
It's I want to say we're a full service restaurant that serves barbecue. You're not gonna get there at 11 o'clock and have to wait in line. Um, if you come at 8 o'clock at night, you're gonna have the same menu offerings as you did at 11 for lunch. Um, we've I pride myself in the fact that we use the data. We figured out a way to cook throughout the day and not run out. Um, and that's what we are. We're your staple barbecue place. Like we have Lewis, and Lewis is great, and Rodney is great, and Palmyra is great, and everybody has their own little niche. But you don't have, when you come into Swig and Swine, you're greeted at the door by a host or a hostess,
Mm-hmm.
and you're sat at a table and you're waited on from start to finish, and you're treated with just genuine hospitality from the minute you walk through the door. And that's probably our biggest uh, attribute is that hospitality piece that goes along with the barbecue. Um, but when you sit down, you don't have to look at a menu and decide, do I want a pound? Do I want to have, we fix everything in plates. So you get a single meat plate, two meat plate, three meat plate. Let us do the portioning for you. Enjoy it, and it keeps people coming back multiple times a week.
Yeah, and particularly in the locations, like you say, that are tourist reliant, that moves a lot of people where you don't have to stand in line. That would be a turnoff for me as a tourist if I go to a barbecue restaurant. No, I want to go stand in line at Peachland, every now and then. But if I'm, if I'm at the beach and want barbecue, which I normally do, I may not want to have to deal with all that. So I want to talk a little bit about your backstory. Before I get there, I want you to look ahead and say, what does the future hold for Swig and Swan now in 2026 and looking ahead?
You know, uh, let's see, the future. Well, I can talk about the future now because I'm about 2 weeks away from turning the keys over to our new house to my wife. Um, we were in the process of building a new house over the past year, and the rule was that I was not allowed to open any new restaurants. And she just flashed me, by the way, from across the room. Um, the I was not allowed to open any new restaurants until the house was done. So now that we're 2 weeks away from moving into the new house, I can say that uh, I have started to look around the area to see what may be available. Um, Not that I'm tired of Swig and Swine, but we do a thing on Mondays called Meat and Three Mondays, and it is extremely popular. I mean, it's probably you know outside of a weekend, it is our busiest day of the week, and it's because of that meat and three. And there's the meat and three, the good old fashioned meat and threes have slowly started to disappear.
It has.
Um, so I think we're going to bring that back um, with a small, barbecue implement to it. Um, but part of our backstory is we lost our son a little over a year ago, um, and his name was Lumpy. His nickname was Lumpy. His real name was Asher. Um, but when I look at expansion, I look at a new concept, and I look at Lumpy's Diner uh, coming into play, and I look at a good old fashioned soul food meat and three. So that'll be the next. I'm calling my shot now, like I did in 1989. I'm calling my shot. In the next couple of years, you're going to see a new concept pop up from Swig and Swine called Lumpy's Diner.
I
So
love it. I can't wait to see it. It's definitely exciting news. And I'll tell you, Anthony, we've, like many people in the audience, I've followed your story and the story of your son Asher, and our prayers and thoughts have been with you certainly along that time. Going
thanks,
into
man.
the backstory a little bit more, working for Jaws, country club of the Philadelphia
Yeah.
Eagles, did you do barbecue there? And if not, where did you
Oh hell
get the
no.
kind of the nose
No,
for
but
cooking live fire?
you know, um, live fire, man, that just came about. But the love for pig has always been strong. Um,
Okay.
I grew up Italian. My family's rooted in South Philadelphia, and there was always pig around. Always a pig at family gatherings. Um, my father did some time as a butcher. One of my sisters married into a German family. They raised hogs. My dad would have a refrigerated trailer on site every October, and we would slaughter for the winter. Um, so I had the introduction to whole animal butchery, especially hogs, early on, and the pig has always been prevalent on our dinner table. But just my love for food, and you know, when it came time for me to do my own thing, that's where the timing, I looked at the timing window. So you had Bessinger's Barbecue, which I think is maybe 88 years old right now. Um, so you have Home Team Barbecue, which is about to turn 20. So when I opened 12 years ago, Home Team had only been open for 7, going on 8 years. They were the only new barbecue to open in I don't know how many years in the Charleston area. So Charleston was ripe for barbecue at the time. There was no, especially full service barbecue. There was no full service. Messenger's was still a buffet. Home Team was quick service, and so that's when and that goes. My son has a bunch to play in that. He used to play. Well, he was a drummer, so I used to have to take him to Home Team every Wednesday night for the Blues Club. They had an open mic night, and that's really where he cut his teeth when he was young. So I would sit there at Home Team, and I would watch all these people come through, and come down the line and get their plates, get their drinks, and go sit down. And I thought to myself, that's when the wheels started turning. I'm like, what if I did that? But I implemented the whole full service thing to it, and the bar piece, and kind of used my fine dining skill set, um, and the hospitality piece of it to do that. And that's where the wheels started turning, and that's where the seed started. Um, and that was it.
I got you. So now you mentioned your career in the U.S. military, the Navy.
Yeah,
A big man like you chose to get on a submarine. Now you're not quite
yeah.
as big as Big Brisket is there for Black Powder Smokehouse Keith Henning, but a big guy like you on a submarine. Apart
No,
from
that's
learning how to duck, is
I
there
tell
anything you
everybody
took from
that
that helps you in the barbecue and the restaurant business specifically?
I tell everybody that Keith's my brother. He came out first, so he got more. He's a little bigger. Um,
There were people who confused you at Friday night's kickoff at the barbecue festival. They
there
said,
were.
is that?" No, they're two different people.
Yep. Um, yeah, so if you know anything about the Navy, um, the submarine is about the fewest people you could cook for. So that's kind of where my head was on that. It was either
Okay.
cook for 130 on submarine or cook for 5,000 on an aircraft carrier. And I opted, and I found out you got a couple more dollars a month if you volunteer for submarines. So I did that, and it was a good choice. It really was a good choice. I learned real quick that the only thing to look forward to 600 feet underwater was a good meal, and you know you have to cook, or they'll let you know that you didn't cook good. So it's baptism by fire, and I made a lot of lifelong friends, and I got to see the world, and I got to cook for a bunch of good people.
We're talking with Anthony DiBernardo, owner of Swig and Swine Barbecue in South Carolina's Low Country, in and around Charleston and across the state. He's one of more than 30 pit masters who are part of this year's Carolina Barbecue Festival in Uptown Charlotte. You can see the views from the festival. Find them at Carolina BBQ Fest's Instagram page. Be sure to follow the festival on social media. They'll have updates about upcoming events. The fall pig picking will be here right before you know it, so stay tuned for more about that. CarolinaBBQFest.org has updates all year long. Just visit the website. In fact, you can click Get Connected and stay in touch with festival updates right into your email. So CarolinaBBQFest.org. Everybody knows proceeds from this year's festival support Operation Barbecue Relief is part of the Carolina Barbecue Festival's BBQ for a Cause mission. That's a passion that our guest today knows a little bit about barbecue festivals, supporting charitable causes. In fact, about the time our buddy Sweet Lou launched the Carolina Barbecue Festival, Anthony DiBernardo was part of the team that launched Holy Smokes in Charleston. Anthony, tell us how that came about.
Aaron from Home Team and I, we've been friends for a while, and we actually Ed Randolph from Handsome Devil Barbecue up in New Jersey was passing through town. He did a cookbook that benefited OBR, and Aaron and I both had recipes in the cookbook. And Ed came to Charleston to help promote the book. We had a little event at Aaron's place. And as the night was going on, Aaron and I were just talking about things, and we're like, Charleston's due for its own barbecue festival. We have our own wine and food festival, and at that festival, there's a small barbecue piece, but nothing at the time was ever dedicated truly to barbecue. And him and I had done events all over the country for other people, so we got the conversation started. And then right at the beginning of COVID, we have two other partners in the whole event, Joe Norton and John Davis, and the two of them reached out to me to pick my brain about using a piece of land that they had to do some festivals on. And I said, hold on. I said, before we go any further, let me bring Aaron into this fold, because him and I had already been talking about a barbecue festival. So the four of us got together, we discussed it, and that was it. We launched the first Holy Smokes. Aaron and I went through the list, and the first list we had was everybody that we've done events for in the past.
Yeah.
And that was, between the two of us, that was 24 people. Wow. So those were the first 24 pitmasters that we called to help us do the first Holy Smokes Barbecue Festival. And that was, we're going on year 6. So now, last year 5, we've grown from 24 pitmasters to over 60.
Wow.
And we're doing a check presentation actually next week for our local Ronald McDonald House. We've already done our check presentation down in New Orleans for Hogs for a Cause. Those are our two benefactors for the event. We're 100% nonprofit. The only thing we keep is enough money to pay for the location the following year. We have to pay for the park that we use. So we make sure we have enough money in the bank account to pay for that location every year, and then the rest of the money left over goes and gets split between the two charities. 2 years ago, the guys from Hogs for the Cause came alongside of us, and we went up to Greenville, to Prisma Children's Hospital in Greenville, and we donated $1 million to help build the hematology oncology wing up there that they did. And we were fortunate enough to go up last fall and cut the ribbon on that wing and see our name on the wall. And that was real special, just to see, that's, you do so many of these events, and you raise money for things that sometimes you just don't see or hear. To have something tangible like that, to see your efforts on a wall like that, and just know that families are benefiting from your hard work, really mean a lot, and really light the fire just to go out there and do it again.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about the barbecue festival circuit. And as you kind of set up Holy Smokes, we'll talk about Carolina Barbecue Festival, but I know you're on the road a lot. You were just in Pig Beach in Queens, kind of in a back-to-back weekend deal with what you did in Charlotte. As you're out hitting some of these other events, either, as a participant or just as a guest, are you still picking up tips and ideas that you might try to use in the Holy Smokes Festival each year?
I am. The thing, yes and no. And I don't mean to say this the wrong way, but man, we hit it out the park with Holy Smokes Barbecue Festival.
Okay.
and and when I find myself doing more consulting when I go do these other festivals, as far as, you know, instead of me taking back things,
Hmm.
I'm giving more when I go to these festivals.
Yeah.
Um, but I will tell you, the one thing that I observe when I'm at all these festivals are the pit masters and the way they work, because I want to know who I want to invite to Holy Smokes. Because as we get older and we get more involved in this charity and this festival, I got a lot to do. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we got 3,500 people coming through those gates. I got
Mm-hmm.
60 pit masters. I got two Cisco trucks full of groceries. I got, you know, a satellite kitchen to build. I need to invite a pit master that I don't have to babysit.
Yeah.
I need to invite a pit master that will have everything he needs given to me on a list 3 months before the event. I don't have time to babysit. I don't have time to track people down. I don't have time to, you know, that's the one thing I've learned over the 5 years of Holy Smokes and doing all these other events is who I can count on to come in and knock it out of the park and be very low maintenance. And
Yeah.
that's who I build my team around.
That's a great lesson to learn. And I know there were some of those pit masters at the Carolina Barbecue Festival that have participated. And even if
Uh-huh.
they weren't there, maybe their team was. I'm thinking of Southern Smoke in particular. Of the folks that were at the festivals, now that we've kind of come out of that, did you see anybody in particular that you thought, they might be somebody we'd want to add to the list?
Um, yes, my buddy Garen over there, John G's, um, just a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Just gets it, you know. Just he's, you know, that's the other thing I look for, the level of ego.
Hmm.
Um, and because I like to think that I really don't have one. I am who I am. You take it or leave it, and I really think that Garen fits that mold too. You know, I mean he's a great cook, and you know I just love what he's about. Is the family element to his whole operation, and that's the kind of people that we want in Holy Smokes.
Wow, what a great compliment. Maybe a little bit of a scoop. We've been proud to have Garen on the show a few times, and we definitely are big fans of his as well. As we talk a little more about the barbecue festival before we wrap it up, maybe some last thoughts about, how did the festival weekend go for you and your thoughts as a first timer at the Queen City's barbecue event?
Man, it was hot as hell.
It's not always that hot.
Holy cow! I'm like, you know, it's funny because I don't schedule any festivals in the summertime because it's
Hmm.
just so dang hot. I'm getting
Yeah.
older and I just can't do it like I used to when I was younger. And I'm thinking, you know what? It'll be okay. It won't be that hot. Boy, was I wrong. It was hot. Um, and then my dumb ass decided to do live fire on the TMG pits.
Hmm.
So I had that going for me.
In the
Um,
corner with all the other TMG
in the
pits.
corner with all the other TMG pits on the asphalt under a black tent. Yeah, but it was good, man. It was a great event. I think it was very well organized. Um, we did. I enjoyed the Friday night piece. You
Hmm.
know, kind of just kicking back and getting to meet some of the guys that I haven't met before.
Yeah.
Um, we did not stay around for the Saturday after party. We boogied it back to Charleston, like you alluded to. That was we've been on the road the entire month of April except for Easter weekend.
Wow.
Um, so it was we were just ready to get home, knowing that we had to turn around uh, this past Thursday and fly to New York to do the Pig Beach event. We were ready just to get home and wind down for a little bit. But yeah, I think it was a great event. I look forward to being a part of it again next year if they'll have me. Um, I told Lou I would debrief with him in a couple weeks, kind of give him my feedback
Yeah.
on some of the things I took from that festival. But all in all, I think it was great. Um, the crowd, I really enjoyed the people that we cooked for. I mean,
Hmm.
there was some enjoyed meeting a lot of them. They were good people.
Yeah, and we definitely enjoyed getting a chance to meet you and sample your great dish. Enjoyed that very much. It was one of my favorite bites of the
Well, thanks.
festival, I would certainly say. The beef and cheddar. Man, those fast food guys got nothing on you in beef and cheddar. That was the real deal. Really good stuff. So you've been very generous with your time. I want to let you get back to that rest and relaxation such that it is in restaurant life here off of a trip, and maybe open up
I'm
the
on my way to do a taco party for 50 right now. So it's,
Well, let me get you to share just a little bit of something maybe you want other people to know about that we haven't touched much on, or that you want to explain some more, and we'll let you get to the party.
man, I don't know. Just check out Holy Smokes. A lot of talk about barbecue festivals, a lot of talk about, all these big events, but, um, you know, research the festivals you're going to. Who's benefiting from those festivals?
Mm,
Are there some people lining their pockets, or is all that money going to some charitable organizations? And
mm,
I think that's really what helps us stand out with Holy Smokes. And if you like barbecue, you like live music, you like beautiful weather, you like Charleston, then the second Saturday of November is the place for you at Riverfront Park. Holy Smokes Barbecue Festival, over 60 pit masters from all over the country. We bring in, we set ours up differently. It's not like individual tents, so you're not going to have to go to 60 different tents. We set up 4 villages,
mm-hmm,
so we get those guys to team up on dishes in the villages, so you can, there's 4 villages, over 20 plates of food from 4 villages. And then if you go VIP, we bring in 6 chefs from all over the country, like big name chefs too. And I always look forward. The guys from Pesh in New Orleans come up every year to help us do
mm,
this thing, man. And they're great guys, and I love they past couple of years they've been doing this redfish on the half shell, and it's
mm.
just remarkable. And but yeah, Holy Smokes Barbecue Festival. It's a great ticket for the money, and 100% of all the fun, all the money we make gets split down the middle to our local Ronald McDonald House and Hogs for a Cause, which gives grants to families dealing with pediatric brain cancer.
And that, my friends, is the final word from Anthony DiBernardo, owner and Smokeman for Swig and Swine Barbecue in the South Carolina Low Country and elsewhere across the Palmetto State. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us.
Man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, sponsored by the Carolina Barbecue Festival, CarolinaBBQFest.org. Visit the website, sign up to stay in touch, and be sure to follow Carolina Barbecue Festival on Instagram and Facebook. To our audience, thank you for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. If you like what you hear, share our podcast with your food-loving friends, and please give us a 5-star rating on your favorite stream. Visit lowslowbbqshow.com, and you can subscribe to the podcast. LowSlowBBQShow.com also has our podcast interviews with other pitmasters and chefs, our blogs with BBQ news and festival other details, and you can sign up for our weekly newsletter where we deliver the latest Carolina barbecue news every week. The Low and Slow Barbecue Show is proud to be part of the Mesh.tv network of podcasts. That's where Andrew Moose is the producer of our podcast, and others on the Mesh network. Find them all at Mesh.tv. That's where you'll also find me and the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. I'm Sugar Willard, reminding you that for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.